In this last video on rendering a perspective, I just wanted to draw your attention to a couple of other techniques that I brought in here just to make sure that you're, 100% cluing into all of the complexity of overlaying color so that we don't have our perspectives look like a coloring book. I've drawn a couple of additional textures here and just wanted to introduce my process a little bit more to you. Just like we've done in other renderings, in looking at this chair, I brought in several different elements in order to get the color that you see here. I started off with a stippling of the really light pink, which you can see here. And then around the edges here where you're starting to see a little bit of the darkness coming in, I came in with this fuchsia. And then right along the edges, right where there would be some shadow from the light coming in from the window overhead, I added in first some red, and then I added in a couple of strokes of black. And you can see there's some black coming in on these edges right here on the corners, right in the corners here. Again, just at the edges because I don't want a nice thick dark outline. That's not going to work for my style here, but again, just kind of bringing it in on the edges. And then once I had those black lines, and I went back with my light pink and then started to blend them in with a scumbling and combination of scumbling and stippling technique. And then once I had the color all right, then I came in with my white pencil to bring in those highlights. And I actually did it in like almost like a U shape here to indicate the curve of the back of that chair. For my pendant lights, these are kind of a gray linen, same with the shades here. And all I did was I used my blender, but I picked up a little bit of gray from the pencil that was creating these outlines here. And I just kind of blended that in a little bit. And then I took a very, very thin micron and I just kind of added some, you can see really soft cross hatching here on the edge of that pendant light, and a little bit of kind of scribbly lines, combination of some scribbly lines and some stippling here to just on the sides of the lamp that wouldn't be getting the light from the light source coming in over here. Now I did a little bit heavier around the end and edge of the, on either edge of the pendant light here, because I'm trying to get that variation from dark to light that creates the curve shape. And so you'll see it's a little bit emphasized here. And then the final thing I want to draw your attention to is down here at the bottom. I did one wood plank, and this is a combination of, I first started off with filling in using, running lines parallel to the lines that I created with the vanishing points. I just did real thin strokes with this marker and the light brown. And then I did some scribbles of just very thin black lines here. And then I mixed in this gold and pulled that out here. And that's kind of how I blended the wood. And you can see it's going to have a nice line where I'll be able to then do another 2 planks just like that and start to bring in some variation before I bring the carpet in. And then remember, this is a perspective. There's a room over here, which we haven't even really discussed or addressed all that much, but I wanted to make sure you knew how to draw 2 spaces. And then I'm assuming that there's gonna be some light coming in from that room. So then all I did was just kind of come in with a little bit of highlights coming this way, just to kind of lighten it up there. And that's an indication that there's light coming through this opening. So just a quick review, it's really a combination of just kind of feeling the work, feeling the light coming in, feeling the texture, and realizing that for anything to look really good, you need lots of different colors and of course shadows and highlights. And then finally, the thing I'm going to do right after I've completed everything is I'm going to come in with one of my dark grays, and I'm going to start to do some shadows on everybody and everything, just to kind of emphasize that light coming in. There's going to be a little bit of a shadow underneath here where the chair isn't covered. If there's any room left behind this chair, there's going to be maybe just a little shadow because again, light's going to be competing and coming through this way. But I might do a line down this corner to bring a little bit of shadow in since it's darker, or I may just use a darker color of the wall color. But yeah, a little bit of kind of shadow coming in here before I blend these out, okay? A little bit of shadow in this corner, just to kind of bring a little bit of emphasis. And again, I'm going to be doing my shadows probably with a cross hatching motion, maybe with a real wide cross hatching. Maybe I'll use the thick part of my gray and kind of come down like this and over like that. Again, it's okay if it's sketchy as long as it looks really controlled. I need to move my camera just a little bit to show that. But you can see here, coming down here, it's really light, but it's going to be just enough to give a sense of value. And there's the beginnings of your perspective.